I'm Garrison Hurst, and you're watching Class Act Sports.
Thanks for joining us on Class Act Sports. I'm Michael Artsis, joined by a good friend. He was a Denver Bronco and a Super Bowl champion Indianapolis Colt. John Madden said that he had the hardest hit he's ever seen in the NFL. Number 95, Darrell Reid, joins us right now. And Darrell's been rehabbing his knee from a very serious knee injury. Darrell, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I got a question. We got some breaking news today. Coach Josh McDaniels fired by the Denver Broncos. Did you see this coming?
Well, it's been a lot of controversy going on in Denver lately, and their record over the last 20 plus games hasn't been the best. And, you knew some things were up in the air, some discussions were being made out there in Denver, so I can't say it's a surprise.
What about what was made of this videotaping? Do you think he had a part to do with it? You know him pretty well as a coach. He brought you to Denver. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but what do you think? Do you think that there's anything to this?
Well, I'm not sure. I think that's something that was above me as a player. I definitely wasn't involved in anything like that, and never knew of anything going on like that while I played for the Broncos and under Josh McDaniels. So if that was going on previously, or if that was the first time for that, I really can't say and don't know.
What kind of coach was he? Was he a good coach?
I think he was a very good coach, and I think he was doing some great things for Denver, and some great things for a lot of players there. You see, a lot of players have had career years this year as well as last year, and so I think he's proven. You look at a guy like Kyle Orton and the year he's been having this year, and a guy like Brandon Lloyd. Noshan's finally healthy, and he had, his best game that he's ever had of his career, last week in that loss against the Chiefs. So I think a lot of players, definitely did well within the system.
You told me that Noshan, actually in preseason, you told me that Noshan was looking amazing and that they were working on an offense that really would allow him to flourish. Obviously, they've had some problems, but are you surprised at how good Noshan really is?
I'm not surprised at all, and they actually had a lot more plans, a lot more plans for Noshan this season, but unfortunately he was hindered by injuries early in the season. And I think that's kind of the story of the Broncos this year. I don't think it all falls on Josh McDaniels' shoulders, although the controversy hurt him a lot in making that decision, and I'm sure that hurt him in Pat Bowlen's decision in letting him go. But there were some injuries to some key guys, like Elvis Dumerville was supposed to be the man on that defense this year, and a lot of the package that went in while I was there was surrounding Elvis and him as a playmaker and as a pass rusher. And without him out there, they obviously suffered.
You had 4.5 sacks last year, career year for you, 11 on the career, 178 tackles on your career, a lot of tackles coming last year. You flourished in Josh McDaniels' defense. You also allowed, by drawing a lot of double teams, Elvis to flourish as well. He had a great season last year. Do you think that it's mostly because of injury? Do you think that Josh wasn't a good enough coach to be on the pro level? Obviously, building a lot of excitement, taking you guys 6-0. What happened when you guys were 6-0 to just kind of fall off the wagon and then to continue to sputter this season?
Well, I can only speak for the time that I was in Denver, and that was last year. And we started off hot, and we had a new thing going, I believe, and I believe last year our defense was actually ahead of our offense. At least when we went 6-0, our defense was flourishing. Guys were running around making plays. And also some credit has to go to Mike Nolan, who's now in Miami coaching that Dolphins defense, and you've seen what he's done with that defense this year. So some of that credit has to go to him. But I think this year the offense, especially with losing a big time wide receiver like Brandon Marshall, has definitely flourished, and Kyle Orton has made tremendous strides as a quarterback.
What do you think went wrong in Denver for Josh McDaniels, and are you surprised that he got cut here in the middle of the season?
I am surprised that it happened in the middle of the season. Um, Unfortunately, Pat Bowlen made the decision not to let him finish out the season, and like I said, I think that the whole Spygate or everything that happened over in London had something to do with that in forcing that decision a little faster than Pat Bowlen wanted to make it. But I have nothing to say about him. And after my contract was over with the Indianapolis Colts, Denver and Josh McDaniels were the first ones to call me, and he really believed in me as a player and believed that I fit into his system and into his team, and really had a vision for me as a player. So I have nothing bad to say about him. He's a great coach, and I think he'll be a really good coach in the future.
Do you think he'll
Maybe
get
he
another
was.
chance to coach, to be a head coach?
I think eventually, if it isn't his next stop as a head coach, eventually he'll be a head coach again because that's what he wants to be, and he's already proven himself as an offensive coordinator in his years in New England, and he's proven himself to be a great quarterbacks coach. You look at Tom Brady. If you don't believe he helped with Tom Brady, look at Matt Castle. If you don't believe Matt Castle, you look at Kyle Orton. I mean, he's proven
Do you
that
think
he
Kyle?
turns quarterback.
Do you think Kyle Orton's a good quarterback? Because I don't.
I think he's definitely made tremendous strides this season in that system, in Josh McDaniels' system, to become a much better quarterback, and his numbers show that. Um, I don't think he has all the weapons that maybe a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees has, and um, I don't know if he's in you can put him in that same caliber
Sure,
of a quarterback.
and losing Brandon Marshall doesn't help anybody. Who's their quarterback next year? Is it Brady Quinn? Is it Kyle Orton, or is Tim Tebow get the nod?
Well, it depends. It depends. Whoever you don't even know who the head coach is going to be up
Right,
there. So
right.
obviously, the head coach is going to come in and evaluate the players, and he's going to make this decision that he feels is best for him and best for that team to win. Um,
What's the interim head
Whether it's
coach like? The running backs coach.
I really don't know much about him. It was his first year in Denver. So he's a good guy, and we chatted it up a little bit. But most of the time that he was there, I was rehabbing, coming off of surgery. So we only talked briefly, and had a couple chats about me playing maybe a little fullback when I got healthy. But he seemed like a good character guy, and um, a player's coach, and somebody the players could relate to. And obviously they think highly of him in Denver to promote him that high up.
D. Reed, thank you so much for joining us.
No doubt. Appreciate you having me, Mike.
Thanks. I'm Michael Artsis. This is Class Act Sports. Thanks for joining us.